Cheesy the Podcast, presented by Just Cheesy Productions.
Hi there, I'm your host Fondue.
I'm Cheesy.
This week we're celebrating National Cheeseburger Day.
A little late.
That's true.
Yeah.
We're talking the history of the cheeseburger patty and the dispute over its origin.
Ooh.
We hear about a cheese waste disaster, cow patties, and manure lagoons.
What?
We're even going to tell our very cheesy joke.
I love a joke.
Stay tuned for episode 201, Patty.
Patty.
According to nationaltoday.com, National Cheeseburger Day is celebrated every year on September 18th.
We're late again.
Better late than never.
I guess.
TimesUnion.com says that we as a nation devour an estimated 50 billion burgers every year.
Whoa.
This is according to the United States Department of Agriculture.
Wow.
And according to pmc.ncbi.nlm.nih.gov,
That's a mouthful.
any given day, 21.4% of the population consumed a beef sandwich.
Holy cow.
And they say that this accounts for approximately 10% of the population's mean intake of vitamin B12 and saturated fat.
Whoa.
BurgerCravings.com said that before the pandemic, 84% of consumers either loved or liked burgers.
Wow.
55% of consumers eat burgers at least once a week.
Jeez.
And apparently they eat them more often when fried eggs show up on the burgers.
Yeah.
And while cheeseburger shows up on the menu in the 1920s and 30s, they come along a little bit earlier.
Wow.
For many, the cheeseburger begins with the bun.
Oh, yeah.
According to CarnegieMNH.org, a bun's main ingredient is flour.
Oh, yeah.
And this comes from wheat.
Sure.
There are 25,000 different forms of wheat.
Holy cow.
And they're all descended from a plant called emmer,
Ooh.
which first originated in the Fertile Crescent within the Middle East.
Wow.
And the earliest evidence for emmer that was grown on purpose by humans for food was at least 12,000 years ago.
That's not the 1920s.
No, it sure isn't.
No.
The burger patty comes from cows.
Duh.
Cows are descended from wild oxen.
Really?
They were domesticated in about 2 or 3 different places, the Fertile Crescent,
Okay.
the Indus Valley,
Sure.
and possibly Northeast Africa,
Whoa.
around 10,000 to 8,000 years ago.
Holy cow.
Cows were one of the first mammals to be domesticated.
Really?
And they provide many useful products for consumption: meat, milk, fat,
Ooh.
tool making like horns, hooves, and hides.
Wow.
They were even used to pull heavy objects like plows for farming.
Oh, yeah.
And many cultures consider cattle to be sacred.
Buns and patties, but what about cheese?
Duh. Of course, cheese. No
Yeah.
cheeseburger would be a cheeseburger without cheese.
Duh.
And we know that the history of cheese making began well over 4,000 years ago.
Whoa.
And of course, how it started is unclear. There's a legend that says there was an Arabian merchant who accidentally created the first cheese.
Yeah.
He put milk in his pouch, which was made from a sheep's stomach. As he went across the desert, the milk sloshes around and it turns into cheese.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for the oversimplification.
Yeah.
The legitimate use of the word cheeseburger happens around the 1920s.
Wow.
I looked around on the internet
Yeah.
and I tried to find out if this actually existed before, which I'm sure it probably did.
Yeah.
On the internet, it looks like around the world there's some dishes involving minced meat
Yeah.
formed into patties, often eaten with bread.
Okay.
There's the Hamburg steak from Germany, which was meat patties,
Ooh.
but there really isn't anyone claiming to be the first ever cheeseburger, except in the US.
Wow.
And this is where it gets interesting.
Okay.
The main players are Lionel Sternberger in Pasadena, California,
Okay.
Kalen's Restaurant in Louisville, Kentucky,
Got it.
and Louis Ballast of Denver, Colorado.
Wow.
Foodbeast.com says the food historians at Carnegie Museum of Natural History support the leading claim that a 16-year-old named Lionel Sternberger, he was working at his father's sandwich shop
Okay.
called The Right Spot in Pasadena, California in 1924,
Nice.
came up with the ingenious idea of placing a slice of American cheese on a hamburger patty.
Genius.
But not everyone believes this is the case.
Really?
According to WHAS11.com, Irma Kalen, the daughter of Kalen's restaurant owner, Carl, knows the legend by heart.
Really?
She said, Mother was frying hamburgers at the time, but this one particular afternoon we made lunch for some school children and she had some cheese.
As
She was
one
making
does.
cheese sandwiches. She was getting ready to put it away. And Daddy said, Will you put some cheese on that hamburger and see what it tastes like? She
Okay.
did. And he said, That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Apparently, Carl, the owner of the restaurant, liked it so much he put it on the menu.
Ooh.
It showed up in 1934 at 15 cents.
Wow.
And interestingly, he thought it was so simple that he never thought to patent the idea or copyright the name cheeseburger.
Oh, no.
Kalen's Restaurant is not a sponsor,
Nope.
but if it was, the ad would go right here.
Have you ever wanted to listen to the web?
Yeah,
Well, Newsly makes that possible.
they do.
They're an all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android.
Super app.
You can listen to trending articles on the web on topics that you choose and get them read to you in a natural human voice.
What kind of topics?
Sports,
Cheese?
tech, business, science.
Cheese?
I'm sure there's even cheese.
Yay!
They even have an entire section for podcasts.
Are we there?
Of course we are.
Ooh.
It's one of my new favorite podcast apps. They even have digital radio.
Holy cow.
Just go to www.newsly.me to download it free.
Whoa.
Or use the link in the description. If you use the promo code CHEESY, that'll get you 1 month free premium subscription.
Yay, Newsly.
Now, back to the podcast. Carl put this on his restaurant menu in 1934, but just 1 year later, in 1935, the term cheeseburger was trademarked by Louis Ballast,
Wow.
owner of none other than the Humpty Dumpty Barrel Drive-In in Denver, Colorado.
Humpty Dumpty.
Denver.org said that Ballast actually tried peanut butter and chocolate before he landed on cheese.
Ooh.
But of course, the customers preferred the cheese.
Yeah,
He
duh.
trademarked the name and was the earliest documented case of legally protecting a specific food.
Wow.
There's still a monument in Denver today.
Whoa.
There's a couple of honorable mentions here. In LA,
Okay.
according to Wikipedia, in 1928 at Odell's, they listed a cheeseburger smothered with chili.
Ooh.
And that actually predates the Louisville and the Colorado claim.
Whoa.
I guess we'll never know.
Nope.
It's time for my favorite segment.
This week in cheese.
WGRZ.com mentions a pretty significant wastewater accident that happened a few weeks ago.
Oh no.
Great Lakes Cheese Facility in Franklinville actually had a wastewater discharge
Ew.
that led to the death of tens of thousands of fish and other wildlife in a creek.
Aw.
And they've got a temporary permission to basically take their waste from the facility
Okay.
and transport it to nearby farms by tanker trucks to be used in something called manure lagoons.
Manure lagoon.
Yeah, that's right. There are things called manure lagoons.
No way.
You know, not all patties that come from a cow are edible.
Cow patty.
A manure lagoon, according to the Livestock and Poultry Environmental Learning Community,
Okay.
said they're basically giant earth-built ponds
Oh.
that farms use to store and treat animal waste.
A poop pond.
Yep, a poop pond.
Pass me the gray poop pond.
Apparently, most are anaerobic lagoons, meaning the decomp happens without oxygen.
Okay.
This helps break down the mess and
Ew.
reduce how much odor escapes when well managed. And this keeps things more stable until the waste can be put to use.
Ew.
And obviously, if
Obviously.
the design or maintenance slips, the lagoons can turn into what they call smelly trouble.
Ew.
Sludge builds up, odors get wild,
Oh.
and runoff or overflow becomes a risk.
No way.
It says here, though, if they're kept up well, they're very effective. They're cheap long-term storage. They have less odor and fewer shocks to the local water or air.
I'm ready for a joke, Fondue.
Okay, why did the cow blush when it saw the cheeseburger?
I have no idea.
It saw its buns.
Oh.
I love that one.
Yeah, it was good.
And it was definitely a little bit cheesy. Thanks for listening to Just Cheesy the Podcast, episode 201, Patty.
Thank you.
Check out our YouTube and TikTok this week for a couple of joke episodes regarding patties.
Patty.
I think you'll love them.
Stay cheesy, everybody.